Good morning. I'm Carol Hunter, editor of the Des Moines Register, and welcome to the Des Moines Register Political Soapbox. Thank you. A little bit about the soapbox. Each candidate gets 20 minutes to speak. They can use that time however they want. They can speak for 5 minutes or 20, it's up to them. But at 20, our timekeeper will signal that their time is up. Now, we at the Register believe in civil discourse. We ask you to uphold the tradition of Iowa Nice and let our speaker have his say without interruption. Now, our first speaker of the day is Ryan Binkley. Mr. Binkley is a Texan. He is president and CEO of Generational Group, which is a business consulting company. And he and his wife, Ellie, founded Create Church, where he is the lead pastor. Ellie's going to join him briefly here on stage. So please welcome Ryan Binkley, who is running for the Republican nomination for president.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. It's so great to be with you here in Iowa. It's just been a wonderful experience. I'm running for president because our country is in desperate need of an economic revival, because we're hopelessly in debt and struggling, and a spiritual revival, a heartfelt spiritual revival. Would you agree? We need it so bad. And we are running for that reason, and I believe God's got a great plan for our country. And I want to introduce my secret weapon, Ellie Binkley, my wife, because she's just got a wonderful cause in her heart for this generation as well.
Well, it's so awesome to be here with all of you today. Ryan and I have been married for 24 years. We have 5 children, 13 to 23. Our youngest we adopted from Korea. And I want to tell you, for all the mama bears out there, there is nothing more powerful than raising sons and daughters. But we all know that the left has an agenda, and their agenda is to rob our children of their innocence, their identity, and their God-given purpose. And it's time for us to say no more. Do you agree? You know, as you listen to Ryan today, he is a new voice. And you might be wondering, how can this guy who has zero political experience do anything to run a country? Well, I do give honor to President Trump because he broke that barrier, didn't he? And he did a great job. But it's time to build. It's time to go to another level. And as we look at this country, there is so much division. And I think his experience as a pastor, as a businessman, is exactly what we need for such a time as this. So with that, I want to introduce you to Ryan Binkley.
Thank you, baby. Love you. Well, it's so great to be here. As I mentioned earlier, we have never been this divided in my lifetime as we are right now. Abraham Lincoln said it this way. He said, America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. This is where we are. We're so divided, the right and the left. The goal of the Democratic Party is to see the Republican Party fail. And honestly, the goal of the Republican Party is to see the Democratic agenda fail. And I am believing this. It's time that we let America succeed, get past our division, and come together to solve some real crisis moments we're having. And I believe this is the greatest day of America when we unify our country and get the soul of our country back. Would you agree with that? It would be impossible to us to do that, though, if as a Republican I don't connect to the most difficult parts of America right now and who's not hearing our message. And I would say this, it's also going to be impossible to influence the culture of our country if we don't win, if we don't break barriers to where we've ever been before. And we've got some barriers that we have to break in order to win. In order to change America, we need to have a cultural movement. We actually need to have a wave. And I've been saying this for some time, that President Trump, I honor many things he did. I like the Tax Cut Act that he did and the Jobs Act. I like the Supreme Court justices. That was great. But the tidal wave, which sometimes there's a big water moment at the end of a city when you see a tidal wave, many people are wondering, is there another wave coming? And I'm telling you, there's not another wave coming. We've maxed out at 46% of the vote in the last 2 elections. And what we have to do as a party is pick up that mantle that was standing against corruption, that mantle that was a populist movement, and carry it to the next generation. The young people that are watching us today, which basically voted for Joe Biden in the last election, 70% of college students voted Democrat, and we've got 70 million millennials up for this next generation vote, and we've got to win their hearts. So I'm running for the next generation. I'm running for us to break the barriers in urban America. We lost 46. Think about this for a second. We lost 46 of the top 50 cities by population in the last election. That means that people in urban America, right here in Des Moines, I'm from Dallas, Texas. We lost Dallas. We lost Houston. We lost San Antonio. We lost Austin. But this is sad. For the first time in 65 years, I would say this, we lost the Alamo of Christian conservatism, Fort Worth, and that is a sad moment. We lost it for the first time in 65 years to the Democratic Party. So what do we have to do? We have to break barriers. We have to have I would call it a Republican solution. What's the alternative to a socialist message to urban America? We have to offer a real solution that connects the heart and touches everybody at every economic strata. Regardless of your race, regardless of your age, the Republican message has to be relevant, and this is what we're going to lead. Are you ready for a culture movement in America? It's time that we do that. This is the next wave that we win the heart of the next generation. And I've got 4 key areas that are a little bit different than President Trump's plan, a little bit different than Ron DeSantis's and everybody else. I'm a businessman. I see things through 2 lenses, financial and pastoral, because we're broken in both areas. But the next generation has to be won by understanding this message that if we don't fix our budget for the next generation, our kids, our grandkids of the future will not have the same opportunity that we had. Right now, we are approaching in the next 8 years to be $50 trillion in debt. In 8 years, we're at a plan that there will be about 12 to 14% of our budget making interest payments. Right now, our nation got downgraded just this past week. Did you know that? Our credit rating got downgraded for the second time in U.S. history. Why? Because we're spending so much money, we have to roll the printing presses, and I loved it. The same day, Janet Yellen, God bless her, came out and said, oh, don't worry about it. There's nothing to see here. How many of you know when Janet Yellen stands up and says that, it's not true. There's more there. And we as Americans have to take our country back. This past week, we launched a 7-year economic rescue plan that does this simple thing. It saves Social Security. Social Security is set to expire in 10 years. It gives us a chance. I'm 55. In 10 years, I will only receive 78 cents on the dollar that everybody's receiving today. If we don't fix it now, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. The second thing it does is it saves the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar used to be the strong world's reserve currency, and it's still strong, but it's working to get displaced by China today, and we have to work hard. And most importantly, it saves us all from inflation. How many guys are tired of seeing 30% higher automotive costs, 30% higher rent, 30% higher mortgage payments? The interest rates go up because they're trying to stop inflation, which is from our crazy spending, and this is what happens. Right now, a house payment would be $500 more a month for a $400,000 house than it would be 2 years ago for the same house, the same cost. We don't have that kind of money. We're not getting raises like that. We have to rein in the government. Whole thing is about this movement called We the People. Do you remember the first 3 words of our Constitution? We the people. This was our government saying this: we are here to serve the people, not the people to serve the government. It's about time that we the people took back our country and saved the next generation. We can't do it if we don't solve the healthcare crisis. Right now we have 40% higher inflation than regular inflation in healthcare. And I'm going to bring a Republican, the first ever Republican-led transformed healthcare policy to the table by demonopolizing healthcare. Demonopolizing it. We only have 2 or 3 major health insurance exchange places here in Iowa. There needs to be dozens. I've got thousands of competitors in my industry. It's time that we bring the patient, put the patient back in charge. Have price transparency when you go to the doctor. Listen to this. We've already socialized healthcare in America. It's the only thing that we purchase as Americans where we no longer ask this one question: how much does it cost for me to be here? We don't do that today. And you know what? They couldn't tell us anyway because they don't know either. We find out 90 days later and we get a bill for $20,000. We pass it off to our insurance company. This is a way to failure, and this is what we're doing today. So we will put the patient back in charge again and reduce the inflationary pressures on healthcare, and we will change our country. We're also going to change it a couple ways culturally. You know, how many of you guys would like to secure the border once and for all? You know, we've had a kick the can strategy for 50 years. President Trump tried to do that with a little bit of movement on the wall. He asked Mexico to pay for it. We called them, and they declined. But anyway, it's time for us to do something permanent. Now listen, this is the most polarizing thing in America today. This will not happen with just Republican control. This is about us doing a permanent 50-year change that actually brings border security, not just in Texas, but from coast to coast, from the Pacific coast to the Gulf Coast. Because if we don't fix this, a guy named Gavin Newsom in California will say, hey, everybody's welcome, come through here. So it's got to be a bipartisan plan. I agree. So we've got to actually do something, and we're recommending a bipartisan plan, and I am changing this by leading this movement of securing the border with funds and actually creating a workforce solution that meets the needs of America today and brings people out of the shadows. It ends sanctuary cities, it ends catch and release, and it makes everybody, for us so we can know finally who everybody is in our country. Wouldn't you like to bring people out of the shadows? This is what it does. Our movement is also about this vision I have for urban America. Right now, America is struggling in urban America. There's poverty. Education is struggling. I want to start a volunteer movement that engages college students. In fact, I'm asking them, hey, listen, college students, if you want to change the culture of America, any young people out here want to change the culture of America? Hear, hear. If you want to change the culture of America, abandon politics. You hate it anyway, but join us in a movement to do this one thing. Love your neighbor. If you want to change the culture of this country, change the life of a child. You could spend 5 hours a week mentoring a third grader, a fifth grader on how to read. Not only would it change their life, it would change your life forever. This is the movement we need to have. We need to have a love your neighbor movement that changes the hatred, changes the division, meets the needs of the most hurting. We need to get back to teaching young people again. Listen, if you're not going to go to college, there's a great opportunity for you to have a vocational trade. We need to teach people how to have a vision for their life. Teach them how to be a plumber, an electrician, own a business, start something new. Everybody has a purpose, and we want to connect people to that. I'm telling America this. All these things are wonderful. We have a vision because CNN last night called me Ryan the underdog. How are you going to make it, Ryan? I'm going to make it, I believe this, because God has a plan for our country. We're in a broken place. There's no way out except for God. No way out. It's going to take us doing the right things the right way, treating each other with kindness and love, but truth. Getting back decency in our country, focusing on the hurting, getting out of debt, bringing a business person's approach to healthcare, but showing everybody, regardless of your race, we do this. We care about you, we love you. Regardless of your economic status, we have a movement and we're in it together. And regardless of where you are in the spectrum of politics, I want everybody to be able to say this: I'm proud to be an American. 2 months ago, I got baptized in Iowa politics. It was a moment. I had a chance to speak with Governor Reynolds in the evening. We were going to a pizza ranch at lunchtime. We were running late. My driver said, hey, let's take a shortcut. We took a shortcut on a gravel road. It turned into a dirt road. And then we found out that Iowans had been praying for rain. Have you guys been praying for rain? Lord have mercy. He answers your prayer. We got on the other side of this hill, and all of a sudden it rained there. We start slipping and sliding. We're like gassing to get up the next hill. We were chugging in our little car. We got up there, and then we couldn't make it. We slid all the way down into a ditch. I'm in a three-piece suit on with dress shoes. I step out of the car. I'm this much in mud. I'm like, dear God, how are we going to get out of this? I started praying. I didn't know what to do. One of our guys started walking up the hill because as far as the eye could see was cornfields. I mean miles of cornfields. If there was a tow truck right there, we couldn't have got out. No way. That much mud. My friend walked up the hill. A lady stopped in a white pickup truck and rolled down her window and said, "Can I help you?" Listen to this. Her name was Faith. Faith had a friend. They came a few minutes later with a tractor, pulled us out. We were 45 minutes late to the pizza ranch. This is what I love about Iowans. 12 people stayed after me being 45 minutes to hear this message I'm sharing with you today. I went to the shoe store at Shelby County. I had mud all over my shoes. I was going to meet with the governor. I said, "Do you have a size 12 black?" She said, "1 pair." I said, "I'll take it." I contributed to Shelby County's economy. We made it on time to the governor. And this is what I'm telling you today. This is what I'm telling America, all over the world. We're stuck. We're stuck in the mud. There's no way out except for faith. I'm asking you to do this. Believe again. Believe in the heartbeat of God for our country. To believe in each other. See the good in each other again. Regardless of your political affiliation, we can have our country back. But it's going to take faith, faith in God, and faith in each other, and we can change this generation. We're going to lead a cultural movement, not just for the next few years. I believe for the next 40 years of economic security, trust, valuing each other, and changing this country for good. And when we do, we'll be able to lead the world into prosperity, strength, and peace. God bless you, and God bless America. How am I doing on time? Do I have time for 4 minutes? I've got some time for Q&A, and I'd love to answer a few questions right here.
Jimmy Vandenberg from out the Iowa, speaking for the Rural Electric Cooperative of Iowa. How is your energy plan going to assure rural Iowans that we have reliable and affordable electricity?
Okay, the question was, how are we going to assure rural Iowans about reliable electricity and fuel? Is that correct? And affordable. I believe that it's time for the United States of America to be energy independent and to be strong and use every available source of fuels, renewable fuels, ethanol included, to make sure that we are competing across the world. And it's time for us to be an exporter of energy, and that's why we can be financially independent again. It's going to be hard for us to get out of the debt crisis we're in without doing that. I'm a full believer in us using every method available. Yes. Question here. Yes. Question. First of all, see Morgan on the podcast. Love to. Secondly, top economic issues. We have to be able to balance the budget. We've got a 7-year plan to do that economic rescue plan, but we have to do it also by changing healthcare. Healthcare is eating away our economy. It's 33 to 35% of our budget, and it is destroying our economy. So we have to bring it back into check. Then we'll balance the budget. Steve.
President Binkley, will you find that the unborn child is a person under the 14th Amendment and enforce the fundamental right to life?
Absolutely. You know, I am pro-life, and I believe that every child deserves that right to life. And I think this is a very volatile moment in our nation's history. And I believe this, we have to connect to people. We have to connect to women in crisis. We need to start an adoption movement. We need to change the culture of life in America. We need to make adoption more affordable, more accessible. Actually, my wife and I want to start an adoption movement that actually adopts all the children in foster care as well. And we'll be able to change that so they don't have to age out. Every child deserves a home, and that's the way we lead. Question right here. I will definitely stop the agenda for a one world government and one world economy. But if I lead, it will be, or when I lead in the United Nations, I will lead a movement for us all to be independent nations. God didn't create us to be one particular country or nation. It is actually this. We're independent, and I'll lead that voice of freedom for all the nations. Last question.
How are you going to stop the deep state?
How am I going to stop the deep state? You know, we have two systems of justice. I think we've all seen that right now. We've seen so many problems of corruption. When I see issues in my company over the years, when I had leaders that could not carry the culture of our country, this is what I did. I didn't cancel every company that I owned. I got rid of the president, I got rid of the leader, and I got a new leader that shared our values. Right now, we're in a cancel culture environment. You know, a couple years ago, the Democrats were saying, hey, defund the police. Now many people are saying, oh, let's just defund the FBI or defund every other department. I don't necessarily think that's the track. We need strong leaders that share the values of America first. We need strong leaders that are going to carry the golden rule as a value, integrity as a value. Let that be led throughout every organization. We can change the culture of our country when we change the leadership of those departments. We have to trim them down. We have to get rid of inefficiencies and corruption, but when we do, we'll change the culture of America. I don't know if I have time left. One more. Department of Education, another department that needs to be trimmed and cut back. It's way too bloated. I don't know that I'd get rid of it completely, and here's why. I don't want to lose the influence we could have in California and New York, some severe blue states, because I want every state in the United States of America to be held accountable to teaching our kids math, science, reading, and get rid of propaganda out. I think it's a leadership issue, a leadership change, but it definitely needs to be cut. That's it for today. God bless you. It's so great to be with you. Thank you. Go to Binkley2024.com. We had 3,700 donors yesterday. We're going to make it that debate stage with your help. We need a few more donors to get there, and we need Poland to get there. So if this is a voice you want to hear, if they call you, say Ryan Binkley. God bless you. Take care and have a great day. I'll give a few giveaways here if you'd like a hat. There you go. Yes, you can.